episode of What the Tech. I'm your host, Tao. In this episode, we're looking into the EV born out of collaboration between Sony and Honda. To make things even more exciting, we have invited special guests from Sony to discuss the story. Welcome to the program, Mr. Yoshida.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kenshiro Yoshida, CEO of Sony Group Corporation. Today, I'm excited to share our latest innovation. In collaboration with our partner Honda, we would like to introduce you to Afeela, a full electric vehicle which will be available to our customer by 2026.
That's exciting to hear. To get things started, could you tell us a little bit about the main features of Afeela?
Sure, Tom. On the exterior, the midi bar is installed at the front and the end of the car, which can give information like battery percentage, weather condition, live spot score, hazard, or caution of the car before you get in the car. Afeela have over 45 sensor and camera inside and outside of the vehicle that can detect vehicle condition, outside environment, and driver condition to prevent accident. With this fencing technology, we aim to be a top leader in the industry of automated navigation and advanced driver assistance system. We also aim to provide the best entertainment on the road with our upcoming in-car software that allow you to play game, watch movie, listen to music, or even PlayStation 5 in the car.
Oh, really? Well, being able to safely just working through my game library while on the road. Now, that's an experience I'd love to have.
Yeah.
But I was quite surprised when I learned of the news. Like, could you tell me the reason why Sony decided to enter the car industry?
Um, well, we have a long story of history of being innovative and bringing new technology that positively change the world and the industry. We see ourselves we seeing that car industry as a new challenge for us. This is exciting as we are changing convention. We believe that our invention, Afira, will be a technological driver of change to produce and process technology and caution technology discontinue to the existing car tech industry.
Hmm, that's quite a bold claim you're making, right? Well, Sony has previously found successes in being a driver of innovation with the Walkman transforming the music industry, so it might not be that much of a surprise there. But what is Sony's goal this time for Ophelia?
That's a good question. Well, we want to establish a dominant design to the young EV vehicle industry. If you look at the current market of EV vehicle, it's really diverse in terms of the design, battery, charging, software, and etc. Many more. The diversity has created many inconvenience to customer. For example, like most EV car in the industry use CCS charging port, while Tesla use their own charging port. If you don't use Tesla and you need to charge your car, but the only available charging station is for Tesla only, then that's gonna be a problem, right?
Yes, that's true.
But with our Avila and its super advanced technology, we will establish a dominant design in the EV vehicle industry. We will be a leader who set a standard for the performance and efficiency of the EV car.
Well, I can't wait to see the launch of your EV. Thank you, Mr. Yoshida, for the information about Ophelia. We will now take a short break and come back with our next guest, Julia, Sony's strategic manager. All right, welcome back. Now, let's dive into the reason for Sony entering the market of electric cars with the strategic manager from Sony, Julia. So, Julia, this decision feels quite out of the blue for outsiders like me, but was the reaction from Sony's loyal consumers much different?
Well, thank you for having me today, Ta. Not really. When we thought about teaming up with Honda and diving into the electric car game, well, a bunch of folks were scratching their heads like, what's the deal? Why this new idea? Our audience and competitors were intrigued as well.
I see. Well, I certainly was thinking like that too. Like, is Eevee the latest fashion for tech companies or something?
Well, some people even wonder if we were just like, trying to look cool, like trying to keep up with the trends. The thing is, with all the chaos out there and everyone having different goals, it's kind of common for companies to copy each other. This is because some like car makers may adopt electric cars not only out of the regulatory necessity, but also to show their modernity and committed to sustainability, even if it doesn't exactly match their money making plans. So that clearly doesn't suit us from Sony.
So you believe it was not just like a passing fad for Sony?
Well, regarding the Fed perspective, we don't think about trends at certain times. This is because like many companies may adopt an idea just because it's, trendy.
Mhm.
Plus imitation takes like it occurs when organizations obtain information from early adopters, because it reduces, ambiguity about innovation. So
Mhm.
let me give you an example. Like tech companies are jumping on the electric car like bandwagon, and some are just like following the crowd. So
Mm.
electric cars are like as we call hot right now, and it makes sense to
Mhm.
take a page from the playbook of those who are nailing it, right, and just copying others, because copying others enables the acquisition of like knowledge that can reduce ambiguity. Uh but here's the difference with us, Sony. We are not just copying electric cars. We are taking them to like another level. We are developing something more high tech that can like differentiate itself from like existing electric cars. So for sure, we're not imitating, like we are setting our own trend, if you know what I mean.
Yep. You sure sounds lot of confidence there. So I guess this decision was something of like an efficient choice for Sony's strategic department.
Yes, you're right. We went for this new idea because it just makes sense, like most efficient choices. To go a little into the theory behind, uh, if there is a word by Al Harbi and Mama in 2015, they said like, which points out that it's all based on the assumption that the new idea will benefit the organization, the company. And you know what? We already have the technology. So team up with Honda is like perfect way to develop electric cars and have benefits. Uh, well, with everyone like worrying about carbon emission, the search for cleaner alternatives, and growing increasing like demand for more technological and modern vehicles, like it was like for us crystal clear that we can supply this growing demand. uh and another thing, like if you adopt a new idea with like a rational and objective way of entering a market gap to meet the market demand, then it's perfect. So just to put it out there, this was our choice and how this should come together. This partnership was a free and independent choice by our desire to make something new, good, and that it can bring us profit.
Well, I certainly trust your judgment there that the decision is an efficient choice for Sony and Honda also. All right, thank you for appearing, and we'll take a break right now and come back with a general manager, Coco. All right, welcome back, everyone. Now, let's dive into a conversation with Coco, our general manager from Sony, joining us today to discuss the electric car market and the factors shaping its success in it.
Thank you, Tal. Thank you for having me. So I'm pleased to be here and share with you guys how Sony identified the dominant sectors in the electric car market. And having this in mind, our first thought was who has the power to shape the success of this market. And first of all, I would like to illustrate the concept of Virginburg selection system theory.
All right. So would you be able to elaborate a bit on how the theory relates to the dominant selectors you mentioned there?
Yeah, certainly. So, actually, the concept explore the critical idea of business development, in terms of selecting a business framework and innovation, that they are mainly affected by three fundamental selection systems: market, peer, and expert. So, talking about the market selections, consumers are the key selectors, influencing the business landscape. And in terms of peers, is it about people as same as us? So whereas the expert selectors are the players who hold specialized knowledge and power. By applying this concept to the industry, the electric car market, our main dominant selectors include consumers, automakers, and technology companies.
That's quite a lot to consider. So I'd like to ask, how do these dominant selectors impact the growth and success of the electric car market?
That's a great question to ask. So our starting point is always our customers. Their demands drive us to be innovative, to be attractive in generating sales. So, I think we must admit that the climate change happening right now become a huge concern toward the sustainability. I feel like this is the topic that everyone talk about right now. So and that's why more and more drivers are starting to think of electrical cars to avoid pollution.
So I see that you're highlighting consumer preference as a key influencing selector in this market.
Yeah, absolutely. Their driving preferences and their growing awareness of the environment shape the success of the electrical market. And that's the turning point we're talking about. Also, there happen to be economic implications, and thanks to the government support in the form of tax examination and purchase incentives, further propelling the shift.
It's really fascinating to see how consumer preferences on the environment and long-term economics are driving this shift. So, shall we move on to the idea of how automakers play a role in this electric car evolution?
Yeah, you got it. So, automakers in our industry tend to be the hub of this innovative transition. So, company like us heavily rely on their continued development of electrical cars to satisfy our end customers. So, we must have capable automakers and their compelling ability to produce the advanced vehicles which help our competitors.
That's great to hear. And lastly, how do technology companies like Sony shape the success of the electric car market?
Yeah, this seems to be more straightforward to explain. So, we aim to provide connectivity and innovative integration of driving experience for our vehicles. So we want to enhance the overall intelligence and efficiency. So, by doing that, we promote the collaboration between automakers and therefore accelerate the progression of innovation. So by adding more compelling values on technological functionality.
All right, wonderful. Now we have a clear concept of how the dominant selectors are shaping the electric car market. Well, thank you for your share of insights.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. So our industry is an exciting landscape. So please stay tuned on to our further updates. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now we're on for another break. Welcome back again. Okay, so now we have got some information from different divisions of the leadership team of Sony, such as the CEO, the strategic manager, and the general manager. Well, that's a lot of people there. And now let's hear some opinions from their technical experts in terms of how they are pivoting to achieving commercial success in this market.
Well, as you know, the dominant selectors is the root cause that Sony and Honda plans to build electric cars serving the market. Three particular reasons accelerate both giant companies to invest in the market. Firstly, resources and their value are crucial in promoting organizational processes such as partnering, product development. In addition, resources should contain value as they should explore opportunities in a firm environment. For instance, Sony and Honda also put in much effort and resources in making new products that differ from others in the markets. For this reason, after commercial success in consumer electronics and automobile industries, both companies, Sony and Honda, and to produce electric cars on the market as planned. They will come out in 2025. And secondly, Sony R&D, research and development professionals, must play more effective roles. Sony tends to utilize all mechanisms, both internal and external, to figure out particular critical technologies and related skills, market information outcomes, and comply with internal R&D results. And then they put and integrate those results into potential production processes. Last but not least, technologies and technological discontinuities between Sony and Honda Corporation. As you may know, both have joined corporations in 1946. And at their founding, both companies were the size of a small town factory with approximately 50 employees. Over the years, the connection of Asian giant companies started again by looking at the impact of technology and technological change on the environmental conditions. So technologies can be defined as an effective tool in creating new products and services.
That's a lot of information to take in, but thank you for that. And so now let's kick off the prediction of commercial success in the market for electric car in the years ahead.
Definitely, Tal. The company scrutinized three series, which are the competitive advantages, such as competitive pricing, differentiation, and product quality. These things will hopefully lead the products to be the commercial success. For instance, a low-cost battery technologies have been developed by Sony with a battery life of 1,000 discharge cycles, and it fully charged at 4 volts and released out to 3.1 volts. Interestingly, Sony utilized kind of plated lithium in porous carbon electrode, which is much cheaper than nickel electrode, and come up with high quality. Therefore, I do believe this battery will be less expensive but have high performance if compared to NiMH battery when fully developed for electric vehicles.
Right. I can see that Sony really cares a lot about its R&D. And thank you for the information you share with us today. And now we're on to another break and we'll be back soon. So please stay tuned. All right, thank you for waiting and welcome back. Now that the discussion with our guests from Sony has all wrapped up, it's time for our classroom discussion corner with Professor Ashley. It's great to see you again, Professor.
Thank you so much, Tao. I'm so excited to engage in this discussion.
All right, let's dive right in. So the story in this program suggests that the invention of electric vehicles represent a technological discontinuity according to that Tushman and Edison framework from 1986 that we did discuss a bit before. So, but then when I read it, I think like, does it truly constitute such a radical shift, given that electric vehicles have been around for quite some time, if I'm not wrong?
That's a really good point. We're going to get into all of the theory now. I think that while the recent surge in electric vehicle popularity is kind of undeniable, it isn't a completely new concept because they've been around for, I would say, almost over a century. I think what's different now is the advancement in battery tech and a growing awareness of environmental concerns. So it's pretty essential to challenge the notion that this is an entirely new discontinuity when there's a significant historical context to consider.
So history. That's a really valid perspective, I think. Well, but now if we move on to the idea of a dominant design emerging in the electric car market, as mentioned in the interview before, I wonder if it is possible that the lack of a dominant design indicates a certain level of industry fragmentation rather than innovation diversity.
Well, yes and no. I think the absence of a single dominant design could indeed signify industry fragmentation, and it's crucial to question whether or not the multitude of approaches to electric vehicle design is a result of innovation diversity or a symptom of market confusion. So, this makes us question, is it possible that this lack of a dominant design is hindering the industry's growth and making it challenging for consumers to adopt electric cars? But on the other hand, I personally believe that Tesla's presence in the electric vehicle market was constituted as a dominant design because they were one of the first to use lithium-ion batteries back in 2008, which have a longer life cycle, higher power to weight ratio, better temperature performances compared to normal batteries. And these lithium-ion batteries themselves have made a significant improvement to the performance of these electric vehicles. And I think since then, other competitors in the market also started to integrate these batteries. So I think we even credit Tesla for pioneering the performance changes for the electric vehicles. It's true though, even other companies like Sony have integrated and improved on the software and technology that Tesla essentially introduced.
Then I guess Sony's intention to challenge Tesla to be the dominant design will be a very tough battle to fight. But that's really great food for thought. Now, considering Abrahamson's framework for innovation diffusion, I wonder if could it be argued that the adoption of electric cars is more of a forced selection driven by regulatory pressure rather than a true efficient choice or response to consumer demand, as Tony mentioned before?
Ooh, definitely gonna have to think about that. I think regulatory pressures have indeed been a significant driver in the electric vehicle market. And while some manufacturers may have embraced electric cars as an efficient choice, it's also crucial to scrutinize whether these choices were driven more by the need to meet emission targets than by genuine market demand. I think it also challenges the notion of consumer-driven innovation and prompts us to consider whether the industry is truly responding to consumer preferences.
I think it's quite a compelling perspective to consider. And so I have a final question there, probably. So in Wijnberg's theory on selection system, could we argue that dominant selectors are creating a somewhat homogeneous market and stifling true innovation by pushing companies towards some form of conformity?
Excellent question. I believe, dominant selectors, which could include government policies and industry standards, can indeed have a homogenizing effect on the market. but they may unintentionally steer companies towards conformity in pursuit of incentives and compliance. And this then begs the question, are we sacrificing true innovation in favor of regulatory adherence and industry norms? It's essential to challenge whether the current selection systems are fostering a truly diverse and innovative electric vehicle market.
All right. Thank you for your answer, Professor Ashley. It's clear that while electric vehicles are really hailed as the future or something like that, there are certain nuances and challenges within the industry that deserve careful consideration.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, Tao. Thank you so much for inviting me again. And yeah, it's been a really stimulating discussion. I hope it really encourages further exploration of these questions in the electric car industry.
All right. Thank you. And I really hope to see you again. All right. Everyone, that wraps up this episode of What the Tech. Thank you, listeners, for joining us, and a special thanks to Professor Ashley as well as people from Sony for coming here and engaging in a discussion with me. And please stay tuned for more discussion on innovation in various industries in our future episode. And you can also consider subscribing to make sure that you never miss an update from us. Well, then, until next time, bye-bye.